Parate execution is a term that we have heard before, but we might not actually have a better idea of what Parate execution means. We have Mrs. Senakadiseram, attorney at law, joining us today to give a brief explanation as to what Parate execution means and what it actually does. Sir, can we briefly tell the audience what Parate execution is and how exactly banks use this to take away our assets?
Yeah, now if you take traditionally, Ganguly, if you mortgage a property and you default, if you default on the property, then the banks have to go to court and execute the mortgage bond, and then only can they sell the property. So that is a long process, and you have a comfort zone of about 3 to 4 years in court to do something and save the property. But the difference is, because of that delay, they brought the Parate Act, and in that, the board of the bank can pass a resolution and decide to auction your property if there is a default of the facility. So it all happens within the bank, and they are very good at it because they have been doing it for some time. They have a very big legal department, and there is a procedure set out in the act where they give you a letter of demand, then they give you a notice of Parate, then they will set a date. You have to put it in the gazette. But though those steps are there, Ganguly, the banks are very good at doing it very, very fast. So the difference is Parate law permits the bank within their internal processes to go through the steps in the act and sell your property if there is a default.
So, sir, that essentially means that the bank doesn't have to go to court to obtain an order for a Parate execution.
That's correct. That's absolutely correct. They can go up to auction stage without going to a court of law, and it is a unilateral method of doing it. They don't need to consult you. They can do it internally, unilaterally, without consulting any third person.
I believe this gives a certain amount of autonomy to the bank itself to act in their own little scale of power. Having said that, sir, very recently the law with regard to Parate execution changed. Can we explain a bit on that as well?
Yes. So there was a time when people thought that this is an unfair practice for small timers. So they brought in an act which changed the Parate law, saying if you have a facility below 5 million, then you can't do Parate on this. So small timers were saved, but still the draconian law where anything above 5 million they still can go ahead with Parate. So there is a window today in Sri Lanka. They brought an act to suspend Parate operations till 31st of December. Now it has been extended till 31st of March.
So, do you think this law will change or will it be extended further? Is there a reason for the extension, sir?
There was a reason, in the sense the government at that time thought, given what has happened in Sri Lanka, it's unfair for the banks to also ask for their pound of flesh. But there is also another side of the story. The banks will not Parate execute a property unless it's their last recourse. So they would have sent you the letter of demand, they would have negotiated with you, they would have sent all the notices. Because for the bank also, having a property in their hand is of no use. They need the money. And if they don't recover the money, they can't run the bank.
As a person who has gotten into a mortgage with a bank, what can you do to avoid going to this stage of Parate execution, sir?
Yes, so the first thing you have to be very careful is, moment the bank you get into the place where you are non-performing, it's called NPL. Moment your facility goes into non-performing, don't wait and talk to the bank and expect sympathy from the bank. I know good customers, when they are good, they are taken to the lobby, they are given drinks, they are given food, but moment you fall into NPL, they will not even entertain you at the door. So when you are in that stage, if you are a individual or if you are a company doing a business or you are a person doing a business, you know you can't pay your debts in the coming months. So then it's advisable to go and consult some lawyer and say, look here, this is going to happen to me, what can you do? So if you go to a correct person, he can advise you how to write correspondence and things like that to delay this process a little bit. Or at the end of the day, you have to pay the money that you have taken. So you need time. So then there is a process where you can delay this. And also there are certain areas where the bank can't Parate execute. So they will advise you on that and they will take some. Don't wait till the last minute And when the auction is up for maybe 1 week's time, go to a lawyer and expect him to be a magician. He can't. So, and courts are also not helpful to you. Whereas if you have from the beginning written letters, denied certain positions, and taken an effort to settle, then the courts are sympathetic to you. And courts are not going to be sympathetic if you just come there last minute. You and I both know how lawyers come last minute and file cases to get orders. Actually, you are before a judge who is angry with you. So you will not get that sympathy.
Finally, sir, is there anything a person can do to actually stop or completely prevent the Parate execution from taking place?
Yes, so if you have mortgaged a property, then the bank has a right to Parate execute your property with subject to limitations like the 5 million rule I told you. And if they have not followed the procedure, then you can go to court and stop it. If you are also crafty and you get proper advice, somebody will tell you means where they can do something within your property so that it will be difficult for the bank to do Parate execution. But at the end of the day, the bank will go ahead with Parate because it's a statutory procedure they have, and they will go ahead. You can only delay it, but you can't virtually stop it unless you fall below that 5 million required.
Yes.
You can buy time. So that's the only thing you can do, and negotiate with the bank.
Thank you very much, sir. I think the takeaway from this discussion is that if you are mortgaging a property to a bank, of course, know that at the end of the day, the bank will have a right to Parate execute. There are certain steps that you can take if you fall into that predicament, if you come to that stage. But of course, the end result is going to be the same if you do not settle beforehand.